Welcome to the Business Growth Spotlight, where we shine the light and talk with business leaders from all over the world to share their insight and expertise so we can all grow together. I'm your host, Heidi Schock, and the co-founder of the Spotlight to Scale Accelerator, where we drive revenue for companies by making sure they're seen as the authority and go-to expert in their industry versus just another product and service. And I just shared that we bring in experts from all over the world. And today we're bringing in Germany. We're bringing in someone from Germany. So I'm so excited to be introducing you and having you as my guest today. And welcome to the show, Christian Jerusalem with Wise Force Advisors. Welcome, Christian.
Thank you, Heidi. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I'm excited to dive into our conversation. Can you kick us off by sharing who you are, your company, what you do inside of your business?
Sure. I'm a leadership advisor for almost all my life. And some 5 years ago, I founded a firm called Wise Force Advisors, where we help organizations to tap into the potential of their growing 50 plus workforce, which is about 1/3 of the entire workforce.
So what inspired you to focus on age management and workforce diversity?
What inspired me was it started all out with an observation, realizing that organizations leaving out something that is extremely valuable, which is experience. And I always thought, why don't they tap into this more and use it more often and more deliberate? And so from observation came hypothesis, came due diligence, came company. And now I know being 5 years in, it's actually very valuable.
Well, I'm grateful that you're doing this because I'm 52. So I think it's super important that as we're aging, that that value that that experience that we brought to the table and learned over the last how many decades, that is still needed and valued by companies. And I'm glad you're taking that ball and running with it and bringing that to the forefront with companies. So many organizations, talking about organizations and the value that these employees bring. Many organizations view an aging workforce as a challenge versus maybe then an asset. So how can companies shift this mindset and harness the value of experienced employees?
I think it starts with it's a mindset thing, first and foremost. It's a question of age narrative. Is age something positive? No, age is age. It doesn't matter how old you are. You bring something to the table. Mm. And the biggest mistake actually that organizations make is to, first of all, think that age management is a people topic and to be delegated to HR as a function. But actually it's not. What it is you look at the organization's objective and the strategy to get there. And then the next question is, who in my entire workforce can help me get there? And we have different assets, different people, different capabilities and skills. And when it comes to the aging workforce, and we just, in our conversation now, we label them as 50 plus. And then we ask ourselves, what could the 50 pluses actually do to help me get there faster? And if you have that mindset, the whole thing changes. You change from, oh, this is a burden, what can I do to overcome, to, guess what we have? It's fantastic. It's knowledge, it's wisdom, it's commitment, it's everything, tenure, it's network. What can we do? How can we leverage that wonderful asset, maybe in a different way and more effective, to get there faster?
Yeah, you said a powerful word right there, network. And that comes from having that experience. It takes time to build that network. And these employees that you're bringing to the table for the organizations have that network that the organizations can leverage. I think that's a really super important piece, because just even in the entrepreneurship space, you'll hear all the time. I've spoken with many experts now, including you, and many have said collaboration is the key. And that comes with building a strong network. So what practical steps can organizations take to create a culture that values employees of all ages?
Based on our experience, it all starts with a diagnostic, actually. helping them to frame something that is perceived as being big, fuzzy, difficult to harness. You have to bring it back from feeling to numbers almost. And we run typically a diagnostic, helping them to understand what are they doing already, which is working well, what is not doing well, what are they not doing at all, and gathering data from different sources and different perspectives from stakeholders, from HR. We run surveys and stuff like that. And then we hold up a mirror basically saying, look, this is what you're saying about yourself. Did you know that you're doing this really well? Or did you know that you have a blind spot right there? And then from that diagnostic, basically, we come up with a roadmap going forward. And that's the baseline for everything that unfolds after that. And this is, and I had to learn it myself, to be honest. I thought, you don't quite need this. Oh, yes, you do. You need to understand where you are to take it from there. And particularly since this is something that is perceived as something new, slightly threatening. Oh, this is a new topic. Shall I really take that flag and run? I could burn myself. I could lose the job. I could look stupid. All of this stuff, there's a lot of anxiety and a lot of lack of knowledge. And by creating this or building this foundation, you also create confidence in the topic, because you as you go along, you become aware of what it's like, and you can talk about it in the organization. This is where you start slowly building a momentum.
So what are, based on what you just shared right there, what are some of the most common misconceptions about older employees in the workplace? And with those misconceptions, how can leaders actively change the narrative? Because you talked about narrative just a little bit ago. How can they actively change the narrative to create a more inclusive, multi-generational workforce?
After you created that baseline, the next step typically is to help leaders understand what that really means to manage an age diverse workforce. It sounds odd because this sounds to be something that is actually not, everybody should know. Why should I train? Why should I receive training for it? Well, it's much more complex than you think it is. There's bias, typically. There's the unconscious undercurrent of, oh, this is someone who's over 50, too stupid to learn. Someone who's probably more sick than at work. All these biases that get in the way. There are younger leaders probably who have difficulties in managing an older workforce. Create that natural way of authority. That's also something that is not known by anyone, or not by many people. And there is a way of helping organizations to create a positive momentum, for example, with stuff. So creating a platform where people over the age of 50 can shine, can share their experiences, and do all sorts of different, share all sorts of different great stuff that they have done. Teaching younger ones, or reverse mentoring, or what have you. So there's a lot of things that they can do.
So let's
over the time, step by step, then you create a certain momentum that you can then use to change the narrative.
So I want to go deeper into that. How does having a multi-generational team contribute to innovation, productivity, and business growth for the organizations?
You're tapping into the very core of diversity. So we know from research over the years that diverse organizations are more equipped with better ideas, multi-perspectives, multi-levels of experiences. And the ultimate goal of any organization is to leverage these differences. And it may not be currently politically very fancy to talk about diversity, but the truth remains. It is the fact is the more perspectives you have to create or to come up with a solution, the better it is. And the ultimate innovation basically comes from the, as someone said it the other day, the spin of the young combining with the torque of the old. If you get that right, you are pretty far down the road and typically create a competitive advantage.
Mm.
So it's again, it's the allowing differences to unfold in organizations, and also consciously overcoming age biases. So it can go both ways. If I'm the older one looking at the younger one, say, you try to help me solving that problem, wait until you're as old as I am, and then we can talk. Or the younger one says to me, you're way too old, you're not going to get it anyway, because there's tech involved to solve the problem. So it is all of this stuff. To manage this in a mature way and in an educated fashion is a huge opportunity. And I can urge anyone just to try it out. And another practical way would be, for example, the next time anyone forms a project group to manage any task, just do that little exercise as you put together the team for the project to say, okay, just for the sake of it, let's be mindful of the different age groups from which we draw and put together the team so that we have an age diverse team. It's not about to be just diverse just for the sake of it. It's not it at all. It is an exercise for themselves to test how well this works and what surprises are in there. And there is a lot typically. Yeah. And that's what I urge organizations to have that experience.
I love what you shared, the spin of the young combined with the torque of the old will
yes.
basically take you far down the road. That was so good. And really that is going to stick with me for a while now. And you mentioned technology, you know, how there can be biases against older people when it comes to technology, thinking they're not going to understand it. So how can AI and technology help organizations create more inclusive and age-friendly workplaces?
I'm not sure how AI would do that. I think I would, if I may rephrase it by saying, it has not been more mandatory than today to force an aging workforce to learn every day. It is about the older person with all the experience plus the commitment of staying ahead of the game when it comes to technology. I think that is a very, very powerful combination. And I know organizations who are all over this because they're saying it is not a question, shall I do it or not? I'd better do it now and force everybody to learn. And sometimes it's painful to learn, to unlearn and learn new things. It is painful. But if you ask the what if question, meaning what would happen if I don't force people to stay up to date on let's say AI technology and stuff like that, the consequences are even more painful and certainly more expensive, leading to dismissing people, reducing the workforce, and knowledge going down out the door and stuff like that. So good organizations are more committed than ever to force people, as long as they're in the firm and irrespective of their age, to learn every day. It is what it is, and it's better that way.
Yeah, and in order to grow and evolve, and you've got to try new things, and that's uncomfortable, and it can feel painful because it's not something you're used to doing. So I completely agree. So let's talk into growth, business growth. You've grown a company. You've been in business now for 6 years. So, and you're a co-founder, founding partner, right? Founding partner and CEO. So what are your daily responsibilities as founding partner and CEO in your company?
You mean apart from the fact to keep it afloat, I see my primary responsibility driving new business, actually.
Mm. Okay. So, what would be if you like over the last 6 years, I'm sure there's been a lot of challenges that you faced. Any business growing
Oh, yeah.
faces challenges. So, for our listeners who are also growing businesses, it's like important we are all learning from each other and growing so we can all grow. What's like if one challenge that you can think of that you overcame, what was a big challenge that you faced and how did you overcome it?
Uh, Pretty much right after we formed the company, COVID hit.
Oh,
It was a huge challenge because part of the deliverables as part of the consulting included or includes workshops where people typically sit in the room and you work with them. And we had to put this from face to face to Zoom. I mean, as you may remember yourself, that was quite something to figure that out, how we can do
yeah.
it. And it was not necessarily a question, a technological question, how to deal with Teams or Zoom. No, that you get this done. But it was more like a mindset. Can you really do it? And selling through a technical channel all the time is more difficult and more demanding than face to face. And I've been a consultant all my life. For the last 30 years, I was knocking on doors and talking to people and do a lot of public speaking and the like. So that's what I was used to. And well, keep that momentum, yes, as long as it was, or as much as it was possible, but then shifting gears and switching to a different medium, that was quite challenging. How did I do that? Probably more heads down and do other than think.
Mm.
It doesn't help. I mean, um, uh, I worked for large consulting firms basically all my life. So that was always a different mindset. Yes, I was a partner there, da da da. But when you're self-employed, you're really self-employed. And
Yeah.
it is about two things. It is about things go up and down and keep pedaling, as basic as it sounds, but that's my best advice. And the next thing is since consulting work has a lot to do with developing the business and developing and nurturing a network.
Mm.
Um, uh, Make this a priority and make sure that every day you reflect after the working day, reflect upon the progress that you made. How did your network improve today?
Mm.
Have you moved the needle? In what prospects are in a better shape? No, not that. So the sales lead at what prospects is better now in better shape and not. So that's really that's absolutely mandatory
Mm.
if you set up your own company and grow it. And sometimes it can be lonely. Um, what I found increasingly difficult, actually, which is more of a recent observation, is what some people call ghosting. You don't get calls back all of a sudden, something that is new too. I never had this. I always got a call back. But now people don't call you. And I always ask myself, do I have to put the blame on me? Did I make a mistake? Maybe. But in the majority, it was probably not my mistake. It's just a different situation out there. So maybe it is too much work to do for everybody. So you fall through the cracks, but it has nothing to do with you. It is what it is. And to deal with that is, at least from my perspective, that's a huge challenge. And I'm sharing this willingly because I know I'm not the only one.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, you shared with your colleagues, and if you are frustrated, you would say, "Guess what? I didn't hear anything back. Can you believe it?" But it does something to you because it feeds the anxiety of now what, you
Mm.
know. Home office does a lot so people don't meet. They hide behind the screens. They don't call you back, or they do. And this is, I think we have to find new ways to operate. And one thing that works, at least for me, very well, is to reestablish the social protocol right off the bat. How do we want to work together? It's like a service level agreement almost that you establish right up front. Can I expect, you can expect from me to do this. Can I expect that from you as well? It's quite interesting what that does to people.
Mm.
So stuff like that could help.
Thank you for sharing all of that. And yeah, the COVID definitely was a big shift and pretty abruptly. And not only was Zoom new for a lot of businesses that were face to face for the majority for all of their business. Um,
Yeah.
for many businesses, that's how it was, face to face, building relationships in that capacity. And you got those phone calls back because you were building relationships in that capacity. Whereas when you move on to Zoom, all of a sudden the attention spans, I think, have shrunk tremendously since COVID because we're being inundated with so much in the online space. And not only did just like you were sharing, you had to navigate Zoom and going virtual, but the tech of Zoom wasn't even up to par because it was crashing because it couldn't handle the amount of people that were coming on because it was a shock to them as well. So there were learning things going on both sides of the coin. So yeah, that was definitely a crazy time. And now, hopefully, like you said, we have to find a way of changing that. Hopefully now I see many people are moving back to in person, whether it's local networking, whether it's going to more in-person events. More in-person events are being created, which is spectacular. So we're getting back to it. It's probably been a little slower than I thought it would be. I thought it would be a lot faster happening, but it's happening in a great way. So hopefully with that, Christian, we'll see more people picking up the phone and answering your calls and things like that because we're moving back to we're building a hybrid now, a hybrid of virtual. I don't think the virtual will ever go away now that it's happened. Go ahead.
And and also I think something that got lost a little bit and it's back is, I mean, nurturing relationships, professional relationships has to do with give and take too.
Mm.
And the giving is something that is coming back to. Let me offer you, and then something comes. I send you an article. I send you, or I make a connection to an introduction or stuff like that. Coming back to this more playful attitude, I see picking up very slowly, which again has to do with, oh yeah, we met in person also. So I'm quite hopeful that this is that we are all discovering the benefits of that type of a dance. And it is a dance, really. And thereby also you nurture the relationships, the network is improving, and your business is growing.
So let's go from challenges to what's worked for you. What is like some marketing strategies that you've done that have been highly successful? Because you brought up lead generation, always nurturing those leads that are coming in. How are you getting them? What is your a marketing strategy that has worked for you? So somebody listening may be like, oh, I haven't even thought about trying that.
Well, I guess that's the usual. I'm a big fan of public speaking.
Mm.
So that's has always been always successful. I always get something out of it. Well, I heard you there, or I read about it that you would. Can you just give me 5 minutes and a download on the keys, something like that? So public speaking is one. Social media, LinkedIn, and stuff like that is probably really necessary. So you can't really miss it. In fact, I'm writing a book
Oh,
about the subject matter, about tapping into the potential and unleashing the potential of the 50 plus workforce, which is also something that allows you to reconnect or to connect for the first time and market your endeavors.
is that the name of your
And
book, Unleashing the Potential of the 50 plus workforce?
Similar.
Similar.
Yeah, very similar. We're just in the process of redefining, but it is about helping organizations to better tap into the potential of their 50 pluses. So that's definitely, yeah. And last but not least, it is about the work that you do. you have to be pretty good in what you do. So the last quality or the quality of your last work determines more often than not will you continue or not. So, I mean, again, it's not about everything else and what you say in marketing. It is about how good are you in what
Mhm.
you do, and are you really delivering something of value? Does it make a difference? Does it resonate, etc.?
Hmm. So for the organizations, for people who are listening, do you have a specific type of niche organization you work with, or can you share more about who would be a right fit for you and vice versa?
Typically, we work with organizations that have about 2,500 people plus.
Mhm.
We work across industries. We work with publicly listed firms as well as family-owned mid-size companies. In Germany, for example, there's the backbone of our economy are the family-owned companies, and they're typically innovative. They have great work ethics, good corporate culture, and it's driven by a family that thinks long term, not only to the next quarter. So when it comes to managing different generations, and when you think in terms of longevity, what does it really mean? So this is a group of potential clients that we like to work with a lot.
Amazing. So I have a couple more questions for you, and then I'm going to let you go, Christian. I know you're busy and you're on the other side of the world than me. If you had a magic wand in your hand and you could wave, you had an issue that you could just take away in a moment, what that you're dealing with right now, what would that issue be?
Sorry, I said it again.
If you had a magic wand and could wave away one issue that your company is dealing with right now and just poof, it's gone, what would that issue be? Do you have any issues that you're working through right now, like challenges that you can think of that you would be like, that would be what I would be the number one to move out of?
Yeah, of course. Um, um, Organizations are faced with a lot of pressure, which has to do with productivity, has to do with transformation that keeps them busy more tactically than not. And here I come with my more long-term strategic systemic challenge. And if the magic would sharpen their view to the more long-term and more impactful stuff, equally to the extinguishing fire piece that they also have to do, that would be great.
Mm, beautiful. So my last question for you is, if we were able to come back in a year and have you come back on the show, and share your journey of the past year, what would success look like for you in 12 months?
Hopefully, my book is being published,
Mm.
and I came back to you from a book launch journey that includes a lot of public speaking, as I mentioned earlier. And I hope that I gained a lot of additional insights that the book prompted, and that potential clients would come to me and say, Christian, this was really helpful. I didn't see it that way. But now I think with or without us, but at least it would help to overcome the challenge of actually getting started to do something about it, because that seems to be the biggest challenge. Where to start when it comes to the generational shift in organizations? That
Mm.
would be great.
That would be incredible, and it's going to happen. It's already done. Your book is going to be published, and you're going to be highly successful, and it's going to reach a lot of people. I just know it, and I hope we can have you back and celebrate that, and also promote your book when that happens. We'll definitely
Great.
stay in touch for that. How can people connect with you, Christian? How can our listeners reach out to you?
That's easy to send an email to Christian@wiseforceadvisors.com.
Super
Happy
easy.
to receive, super easy, happy to receive emails, and I will respond.
Incredible. So make sure you reach out to Christian and connect with him. He's also on LinkedIn, right? Christian Jerusalem on LinkedIn.
Yes.
And you can also check out the website at wiseforceadvisors.com. Email Christian at wiseforceadvisors.com. And we will also have Christian's bio, all the information on his contact information in the show notes, so you can check them out there. Christian, is there anything, last words that you'd like to share? Anything that you want to talk about that I didn't get to ask you or touch on today?
Other than thanking you very much for the great conversation, Heidi. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your time and for taking time out of your day. And Christian, fun fact that I learned about him before we jumped on is he travels to both California and Germany back and forth. So he's a traveler, and probably because of all your public speaking gigs that you have. So that's
And
incredible.
client engagements. Yes.
Yes, and client engagements, absolutely. So thank you, Christian, for being here today. Thank you for listening to Christian and I on the Business Growth Spotlight podcast. If you're listening on YouTube or watching Christian and I, please subscribe and comment. Leave a comment for Christian below. If you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, please leave us a review and share so more companies, organizations, and people can learn from our experts in wisdom, just like Christian today. And if you are looking to gain more visibility and grow your business through strategic visibility and marketing, then go ahead and download your free copy of our Spotlight to Scale blueprint. You can go to spotlighttoscale.com/blueprint to be there. Christian, thank you again for being here. I've so enjoyed our time. For you listening, please connect with Christian. Let him know you heard him here, and we will see you on the next episode of the Business Growth Spotlight podcast.